So you're finally fed up with how you look and you know that you need to change. So I'm going to show you the exact steps that I took to lose well over 50 pounds and keep it off. And for the first time in my life, not look in the mirror and feel absolutely disgusted with what I look like. But I do have a short disclaimer, because if you are somebody that has a short attention span or you need animations and graphics flying all over the screen, then this video is not going to be for you. And I hate to break it to you, I don't think you're ready for this transformation yet. So now that we've got the serious people here, I say we get to work. Now, before we can actually address this issue, we actually need to start from the very beginning, like every good story does, and address how you got into this situation in the first place. And I'll keep this very brief because I don't want to waste your time. You are here in the position that you are in now because you were in a calorie surplus for an extended period of time, meaning that you were eating too many calories and you ballooned up. And of course, it would be wrong for me to ignore the tiny role that genetics plays in how you look, i.e. where you choose to store fat and how easy it is for you to put on fat. But that is not an excuse because it plays a very minute part, so don't even think about it. What is the fix for this? Now, something that I teach inside of the mentorship, there's going to be a link in the pinned comment if you want to see more details for that. But a core principle in there is making weight loss as simple as possible. I have a saying on this channel that complexity will kill any weight loss journey, and that stands true 9.5 out of 10 times. So what we need to do, working from this framework, is actually reverse the process. So we know that you are at this stage that you're right now because you ate too much. Reversing the equation and that formula, that means that we are going to have to eat less than what we did before in order to start trimming off some of that fat. But you see, this is where we run into our first problem, because at this stage, a lot of people would hear this information, me myself at one point when I was starting out, and use this as a perfect opportunity to go and slash our calories into oblivion. But that is how we end up in the yo-yo dieting cycle, and we end up in these phases of just losing weight and then regaining it over and over again. So our first step is going to be doing the prep work. It's the boring stuff, but it is what needs to be done if you want to have a successful transformation that lasts. So for the prep work, you're going to go and find your maintenance calories. You can hop on a TDEE calculator. There's another method that I outlined inside of the program that I'm talking about, but it's a little bit long-winded, so I'll save that in there. Next, you're going to want to get a weighing scale for your food and for yourself, and you're going to take your starting weight first thing in the morning when you've gone to the toilet and you haven't eaten or drank. Next, you're going to want to download an app on your phone called Happy Scale. This is just so we can track our weights. And we're going to want to download MyFitnessPal so we can track our calories. Now, this next thing that you're going to hear is something that you have not heard on any other weight loss channel, okay? And it is very confusing, but it works. And it's why the people that I work with succeed while other people are failing, tripping over themselves and spinning their wheels. We are going to do something very strange, very niche, but it works. We are going to practice weight loss. You're going to be sat there thinking, how on earth does one human being on this planet practice the art of weight loss? Well, it's very simple. We practice the habits that are going to get us the result before we impose the calorie deficit. Very quickly, just to clear this up, because there's going to be some confusion. I get it. Why do we do this? Well, in a calorie deficit, essentially you're under stress, mental and physical. There's a lot of skills that go into losing weight and being in a calorie deficit. Now, let me ask you a question. Is it smart for you, as somebody who's had no successful experience with dieting, to go into that environment, having to learn all of these skills with the added mental and physical pressures of eating less and depleting your body of calories? In my opinion, I don't think it's the smartest idea. So what do? We have a training ground that lasts maybe 1 to 2 weeks, where yes, you're weighing your food, tracking your calories, but there is no calorie deficit. So by the time you get to the stage where you're going to eat less, you're going to be well prepared and nothing is going to come as a surprise or smack you around the face. I think it's an impeccable strategy, but of course I'm going to be biased. Now, after this 1 to 2 week period, this is where we are going to have some fun, because this is where we're going to create our first calorie deficit. And I advise anywhere from 250 to 500. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, it's important to remember that we are not going to rush this process. Okay, if you're doing this, you're in it for a long haul. So yes, you could take away more calories, but you just be making it harder for yourself. And the more that you increase your deficit, the higher likelihood of failure that you have, especially if you're somebody who's a beginner, because you've never done this before, right? Humble yourself, take it slow during this process, and you are not going to regret it. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, well, what's happening with our diet? Well, I'm going to tell you. Here comes the most interesting part, and something that is going to go against the majority of fat loss advice that you see on the internet. And some of you might even be a little bit turned off by it. But But here is the thing. I could not care less about what diet you are eating. You can use some of the meal plans that I have for you inside of the mentorship. You can come up with your own. It is completely fine. You can do keto, you can do carnivore. I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't. What is key is that this is going to be a diet that, number one, that you can stick to. Number two, that you enjoy. And most importantly, number three, it is a diet that you can see yourself eating 6 months from now or once your transformation has concluded. Now, if you haven't reached that stage yet, then I'm going to give you a very quick system on how you can start eating some of your favorite foods but still make a low calorie, high protein version. You're going to select 3 to 5 of them. What you're then going to do is copy and paste those meals into ChatGPT, and then you're going to ask it, okay? This is fantastic, by the way. Swap out, okay, from these meals, the ingredients, and replace them with lower calorie ingredients and give me a bulleted list for each meal. That way you are still going to be eating foods that you enjoy, so it doesn't even feel like you're on a diet, and you're still going to be able to hit your calorie and your macro targets. It's foolproof, fail-proof, it is bulletproof. Now, on the diet side of things, that is going to be a lot for you to get started, but there are going to be a couple of things that you can do that are tiny, that are going to help you get to that next level in your fat loss journey. Number one, we need to talk about diet drinks. These are clutch. They get rid of any of your sugar cravings. They are great to fill you up before a meal, and they're great if you just want something sweet. If you're a person also like myself who loves having sauces with their meals, you're going to want to opt for low sugar and low fat versions. Why? Because they are less calories, which means you can have more of it and make your diet food even tastier. Does any of this sound bad so far? No. So let's keep pushing forward. And of course, make sure that you are eating whole foods. They're going to keep you fuller for longer. And remember, food is fuel and you want to perform at your best. So we've got to be eating the best kind of foods. Now we've tackled diet, calories, the planning, but what about the stuff that makes us look good, aesthetic, lean, sexy? I'm talking about exercise. We're going to start off with weights. Now we're going to keep this very bare bones and very, very simple. You're going to head to the gym just 3 days a week. Very low commitment, very easy for you to do. What you are going to do in the gym is a push-pull legs split. Now you might be thinking, well, Matt, what about the reps and the sets? I know that you're having a little bit of a mental break out here. Breathe. I'm going to put your mind at ease. So we're going to do 3 sets per exercise for 10 to 15 reps, depending on what we're working on. We go to 15 because if it's a small muscle, like, I don't know, long head of the tricep maybe, then you can't get as much load on it, i.e. you can't go too heavy on it, which is why we go to 15, a little bit more advanced. I won't get too much into it here. Now, you also want to make sure that you are progressively overloading. So each time that you head into the gym, you just progress. You do a little bit better than what you did before. Even if, right, I'm doing pull-ups, I did 5 pull-ups in the gym, my next pull session, I am going to do 6. More than enough. Biggest tip with the gym, do not blow your load too soon, because then progressing is going to become difficult. When you're not progressing, you feel like you're making a lack of progress, and that is where people start falling off with the gym because they're not seeing results quick enough. Pace yourself. Now, we've talked about the sculpting side, okay, lifting the heavy iron, lifting all of that weight. But what about cardio? Here's what we're going to do. We are not actually going to implement a set cardio session. There's going to be no set cardio day. What we are going to do is consistently walk every single day without any excuse, rain, snow, sunshine. We're going to walk 8 to 15,000 steps per day. That is going to be more than enough to cook some of those calories in the background, because the main principle, my preferred methodology of losing fat, is that we want to keep our activity as high as possible without burning out, and keeping our food as high as possible. This way, we still have enough to sustain ourselves and enough to push in the gym. So we're not sacrificing our food. Now, we only start implementing set cardio days when your weight stalls, but that's a little bit more advanced. That is not anything that you need to worry about right now. Now, we've talked about all of the physical stuff, the inputs, the stuff that you must do on a day-to-day basis to get the body and get the physique that you want. But here is where we run into one of the biggest problems that anybody, even myself, would face on a fat loss journey. That is going to be our mentality. Now, what I've got for you are 3 tips, 3 things that you can do to make your mind bulletproof, like Captain America's shield, like vibranium or Wolverine's claws, okay? And these are extremely powerful, and you can deploy them at any moment in your fat loss journey when things are getting tough, or you feel like you're going to crack and break and make a bad decision that is going to throw you off plan. So listen carefully, AirPods in, take notes, and lock in. So number 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand, but you can't do one without the other, if that makes sense. Number 1, adopt the third person perspective. Whenever you feel like things are just getting a little bit too much and you feel stressed, I need you to breathe. Take a snapshot of where you are and then close your eyes. And then imagine you transcending yourself, right? Imagine I'm here like in a stop motion doing this, and then there's a version of me that is behind me, looking down on me. It can be from your left shoulder, it can be from your right shoulder. I kind of like it looking over from my right, because it reminds you of like a third person shooter in a video game. I just need you to breathe and calm down. And then next is where we implement our next mindset shift, which I used to keep separately, but now I've bolted these two together because it's really helped me in recent times, is that we're going to adopt the monkey on our shoulder framework. And that is where whenever we are going to make a quote unquote bad choice, we ask ourselves, is this a good choice? More often than not, it is not going to be a good choice, so you do not do the thing. And what this does is that it helps you bring yourself into the present moment. It allows you to escape the chaos of your own mind with all the hormones and all of the things and neurochemicals that are going on in your brain. What it does is that it hits a hard and fast pause button. It's like if your mind's racing at 100 miles an hour. Those two tips in combination, what I've just taught you, that is like just slamming the brakes and letting you recalibrate, refocus. Right, where am I heading? Okay, boom, we're heading that way. Let's go. That is the power of this tip, and you're not going to realize it until you implement it. So try it next time. And next is going to be something that's new that I actually do need to add into the mentorship. I need to make a new module on that, but it's something that I've coined the Terminator technique. And if you guess that I came up with this framework after watching the first Terminator film, then you would be correct. You get a little fist bump. So what the Terminator technique is that, you know, the Terminator is like a big, like hulking robot, and all he understands is inputs and outputs. We need to be like the Terminator. Obviously not like killing people and stuff, but being hyper focused on the input. That's more important. So what's the difference between an input and an output? An input are the behaviors and things that you need to do to reach the output. Let me explain this in plain English. You are not going to focus on when am I going to lose the man boobs, the love handles, when am I going to get the abs, when am I going to get the muscles. You don't focus on that. You focus on the behaviors that you need to do to get all of those things on the other side. I.e., was I in a deficit today? Did I take my progress pictures? Have I been eating food that I've enjoyed? You get the gist. Become an input dependent person. Not only is this going to help you focus on the right things when losing fat, but the time that it takes to lose the fat, it's not going to shrink, but your perception of time will change and it'll be a whole lot quicker. Very quick analogy because we are getting on here. You know when you try and hyperfixate on something and it just never seems to click? The minute you stop focusing on the thing, then all of a sudden you get what you wanted. It's a weird universal phenomenon that I'm trying to work out to this day, but it's kind of like that. Now I have completely put myself out of business for you lot and exposed everything that you need in one video to lose fat, keep it off, and become a more confident, lean, aesthetic version of yourself who, like we mentioned at the start of the video, likes the look of themselves in the mirror. But if you are a guy who is in their mid-20s and you have found value in what I've shared with you, if you connect with my teaching style, if you like the way I present this information to you, then there is stuff like this inside of the mentorship, which is even more in depth for every single topic to do with fat loss, whether it be mentality, the physical stuff, and there's bonus modules that obviously I'm not going to spoil them here that you can get into. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. The community is small at the moment. However, I would still get in early before somebody else reaches the end of this video. I'll catch you on the other side.